Welcome to Dualshock'd, the Brotherhood of Geeks PlayStation podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brett J. Rasmussen. Over here, I got my other great.
Guru
Again.
Blaze.
Hey, look, everyone, it's Guru Blaze.
Yep, I'm back.
Hey, what's going on, Blaze?
Oh, just kind of hanging out.
Oh man, it's how have you been doing in this crazy time? I mean, you're not here physically again, just like Spectre. We're doing our own part of social distancing. So, I'm here on the set. I'm here at headquarters while you are over.
I'm where I need to be.
Yeah, I know. So, what's been going on, Guru Blaze? It's been a while. I've talked more to Spectre than you. So, what's been going on, man?
Not too much. I'm still working, so Monday through Friday, I got pretty much 7 to 8 hour days, and then the weekends off. But honestly, my lifestyle really hasn't changed that much.
Okay.
Because ultimately what it comes down to is like I'm pretty much working the same amount that I was.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I wasn't working, because I work first shift, so I'm getting, but I work almost an hour away from where I live. So I'm usually getting home around like 4-ish, 4 or 5. And then I generally, for years before this, would usually I don't really go out that much. Like I chill at home. I got a plethora of games and media to consume. I live literally a 10-minute walk from my local liquor store, as well as a 10-minute walk from my pick and save. And the only time I really have to drive is if I feel like it or it's shitty out or I'm going to work. So it's like, I would go out on occasion, like hit up a bar down here and there, but it's like for me. I guess it was just an easy transition because it's something that I normally wasn't going out of my way to do anyway, even when I could. And I also live behind a bar, so
Okay.
But now that everything being kind of closed down, really, I didn't go out to eat super much, or it's like I did those things once in a while, and it's not like I didn't enjoy them, but it's like more often than not, I just didn't feel like wasting the money it would take to do those things when I have so much to do at home.
Okay. Yeah,
I live on enough land to walk out into a backyard, so #blessed. Yes.
I mean, yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's just been crazy. I mean, with all the what we are calling, we can't go ahead and use the actual term because demonetization and all that YouTube algorithm stuff. So we're calling it the Last of Us virus. So that's like when we're talking about what's happening out there, the pandemic, the virus, we can't use the word. We're going to just call it the Last of Us virus because it actually feels like the Last of Us. I feel like I'm living in that game, except we don't have clickers.
Yeah, they're definitely way worse off than we are, but
yeah, I mean, I don't want it to come to that. For the love of God, please, no. But like, it's just all of this has been absolutely crazy. I don't think any of us have lived in a time like this. It's just
there has been things like this, but it's been a long time.
Oh yeah.
Like this has happened.
Well, not in our lifetime. That's what I'm
right. That's what I'm saying. So it's like this is history that we're living through right now.
Yeah. Every 100 years, a plague happens.
Yep.
But yeah. So, what have you been playing? Have you been playing anything, or have you been very busy?
I mean, I've been busy. I've been playing. I mean, it depends on my mood. I still play Slay the Spire. They recently released the 4th playable character, but I still have yet to actually like beat all 3 runs in a row with any given character because it gets hard as fuck. But recently, actually, since I'd never really gotten super deep into it and wanted to play more, I've been playing a lot more Sekiro lately.
Oh, that's good. I know.
I had played a decent chunk of it, but then set it aside for a while. And I recently, like, really for no particular reason, just like I've been like just playing it all the time now, and I've just like gotten so much more deep and discovered new areas. And it's like shit, I forgot how much there actually is in this game. But it's because it's hard. But man, it won Game of the Year. So I mean, that combat system is just a work of art.
Yeah, I mean, like Sekiro's really good. It's like, I mean, I've played Sekiro. It's hard. It's I don't know. I like the system because Jedi Fallen Order definitely
Pretty much
takes
based it
more.
off their system.
I'm sorry.
I said Jedi Fallen Order pretty much based it off Sekiro.
That's what I mean. I like that system, but Sekiro's way harder,
Okay.
or at least to me.
Oh, it's definitely much more. I beat Jedi Fallen Order in a couple days. Like I didn't have to fight any like the hardest. I think the most times I had to fight an enemy was like maybe 5 or 6 at the most. But Sekiro, dude, you will just die. And I mean, like I've gotten better at the system, and like looked up, and so it's like, but it's like I want, and like sometimes I'll just get zenned in, and I'll just like even when I'm fighting like a mini boss, I'll just like pull it off where I'm just fucking them up without giving them a chance. But then I think about it, and then I start fucking up, and that's how it always goes.
Mm,
But it's still so worth it because it's like, damn, that was hard, but it was so much fun. And the closer you get, the more badass you feel.
yeah, no, I mean, like it is very much that kind of back and forth. The like you die, you want to get better. It does a very good job of
And
making it
like
feel.
you can get better. That's
Mm-hmm,
the thing. It's like if you die, it's like shit. That was 100% my fault. Like
mm-hmm,
because it's such a robust combat system. Like the way you can maneuver and attack and deflect, not to mention all of your quick use items
mm-hmm.
and your prosthetic tools. Like you have so many things you can do in a martial situation when you're like fighting, especially like one on one with a boss. And it's like it's all about like how quick are your eyes, like what like how can you because they anything that doesn't have the red kanji over it can be deflected,
Yeah,
but sometimes it's better to dodge because the thing is it's like you could get someone like the posture like bar is almost like a second health bar because it's like you can get their health all the way down to get a death blow, or you can make their posture go out to full and then get a death blow. But the thing is that the lower their health is, the slower their posture rate recharges. And it's like, this is the shit that I've been looking up recently to try to just get this, like, oh shit. So it's like, you can deflect anything that doesn't have that kanji. Or if it's a thrust, if you got the Mercury counter and you can step on it, but sometimes you got to go for the jump. And it's just, oh man.
yeah.
Plus, it looks great.
Oh, it looks great. And I definitely do like Sekiro over Dark Souls at least because I like the
I don't know
verticality that
about
you can use.
I'm literally the second to last boss in Bloodborne, but I haven't played that game in months but I'm like that close to beating it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
God, Murgo's wet nurse though, like to fuck. I've gotten close, but she just like can fuck you up and then teleport you into a pocket dimension where you're in the dark, and then there's two of her, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's great. For me, I have been playing Animal Crossing. I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing, because I'll be reviewing that. So that review will be coming out very soon. And it's a very much a game that I never thought I would like. And I think I said that.
Yeah, I don't have the new one because I don't have a Switch, but I played I still own the very first one on GameCube, and I played the shit out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, okay, like real quick though, I have a really funny story about that. Okay, so I had played a lot of it, and then I would play it off and on, and then there was a period where I just, I hadn't played it in a long time because if I was whipping my GameCube out, it was to play like multiplayer retro game with a friend of mine or something.
Mm-hmm.
But one time, just for shits and giggles, like a couple years ago, I whipped it out just to like check it out. Like as I was with some people, and like I was just like, I want to see because I had a dope ass house and I had a bunch of rare items. Like I have all gold items except the fishing pole is the only one that I didn't
Wow.
have. But no, not the fishing pole. It was either the fishing pole or the bug net. I had the axe and the shovel, and one of those two, but didn't have the other because I didn't know at the time how to get it. But anyway, like the funniest part was I go in there, and you know how it logs how long you've been gone, and it'll have someone like mention it to you, which is a thing that'll happen. It's kind of like it'll look at your internal clock, and like if you've been gone a long time, there'll be cockroaches in your house that you can step on, and like you can talk to people, and like they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in blank amount of time," whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it was funny because I turn it on and I'm walking around, and there's one of the characters who's like a hippo girl, and standing on the middle of a bridge, this small bridge that like goes right over this like little part of a river.
Mm-hmm.
And I run into her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And then like says your name. It's like, "I haven't seen you in 108 months," and or whatever she said in months. It was like over 100 months, and like. And I did the calculation, and it's the equivalent of around 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And but the best part is what she says next. So basically, she's like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in 10 years. I've been standing on this bridge waiting for you to come along, and now you're finally here." It's like, "You've been standing on this bridge for 10 years, waiting for me to walk across it so you could say hi. Like, how are you alive? I mean, like, you've literally you've been on this bridge for," because I don't know if that, I mean, I guess I could say there's a light implication if I want to look for it that she, left the bridge at certain points, but it just seems like I've been standing on this bridge for 10 years and I haven't seen you, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I just killed all those cockroaches in my house. Sorry, I would have been here sooner.
Yeah. No, that's hilarious. So I've been playing that. I've also been playing some Darksiders Genesis. I haven't been able to finally get into that. I still
gotta try 3 because I have it downloaded digitally and I still have yet to start it.
Dude, if you...
Oh, I know, but I love it. I love the first 2. They're fucking phenomenal.
I think you're gonna like 3 even more because it has that like Sekiro Souls-esque feel to it.
The third-person tactical melee.
Exactly. So I've been playing a lot of Genesis, but I've been playing Animal Crossing, so kind of that evens out. And then I've been playing a little bit of Doom Eternal, but I know that Spectre has been playing that a lot because he'll be reviewing that also. So we'll be getting that up. So great. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the first item on the list. The first piece of the program. All right, let's go ahead and begin. Let's go ahead and begin with what we always begin with. News of the Nation. I do that like, man, it's so weird, like, not having, like, you or Spectre here, because I just do that to just see your reaction, but now you're, like, away, so...
Well, I'm reacting all right.
It's very much either rolling of eyes or whatever. But anyway, let's go ahead and begin. So, first and foremost, we now know what April's... the 2 free games that we're going to be getting for the PlayStation Plus in April. It has been said by other news outlets, IGN, GameSpot, others. But we have found out that we're going to be getting on PlayStation Plus, we're going to be getting Uncharted 4, Thief's End, and Dirt Rally 2.0.
Well, there's only really one of those I'm interested in, but...
Mm-hmm. The reason why we kind of already know this is that the trailer for it did go public, but it was then put straight to private, so it kind of was posted on the PlayStation's YouTube, and then they accidentally released it too early, and then they put it on private. So people who were quick were able to see it. So those are the 2 games we're going to be getting in April. Which, man, Uncharted 4, that's a good game. That's a good choice right there. Even this month we got, in March...
Well, they had the collection a month or 2 ago, so, like... that'll be the last of the games.
Exactly.
Legacy.
So like if what we always recommend is that if you have PlayStation Plus, regardless if you play them or not, just add them to your library. Just it's free, it costs nothing. You already have Plus because you need to play online. Add them to your library because you'll never know if you want to. If you're kind of in like
And
a
it won't
lull.
take up space until you install it. It'll just be there.
Exactly, and like if you're in a lull, like you've already played through some of your games, you're like, I don't know what to play. You can go through your list and be like, oh man, I want to play Uncharted 4.
Oh yeah, I have so many downloaded digital games I haven't even touched.
But
like
still.
I just threw them in there just cause. Like.
So yeah, but I mean, again, it's good that we got Uncharted 4, Dirt 2.0. It's a racing. It's like a.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I'd be down to play Dirt 2.0. I'd probably get it because it'd be fun in a way, but. I'm like Uncharted 4 is the bigger of those two for me.
Oh yeah, and I kind of been seeing that's what PlayStation's been doing is that they go, here's a big AAA game. Like this month we got Shadow of Colossus remake. Like
too bad I already have it.
I know. Like even I have Uncharted 4 too. But yeah, no, it's still good choices. I'm very very happy to hear this. So yeah, let's move on. Next topic is that. Right now, Sony has come out to state that there is no delay because of the Last of Us virus. In an article by Bloomberg, a spokesperson said that the company doesn't see any notable impact on the unspecified holiday of the 2020 release date set for the PS5. We already heard a Sony and then I'm getting an article from IGN. But IGN says that we had already heard a Sony-related PR agency make a similar statement, but this is the first time someone at Sony has made a comment about this. And then continuing on, it has been also echoed by GameStop CEO George Sherman, who earlier said that there has been no indication of delays to the PS5 or the Series X. Which I also have that. So coming from there, GameStop CEO George Sherman, this is also coming from IGN, says there is currently, quote, no indication of any impact on the product launch or delivery date of either the PS5 or Series X. In an earnings conference call, Sherman discussed the current events of The Last of Us outbreak on the game's retailer. While explaining that the situation remains fluid, he specifically brought up the potential effects on next-gen consoles. Quote, from George Sherman, as for the impact on the new supply chain and manufacturing for new consoles, we will continue to work with console makers as the launch approaches, but as of now, we have no indication of any impact on the product launch or delivery date, which is expected in time for holiday of 2020. So this is, and he's saying this, and it's kind of a weird situation coming from GameStop because their stocks have been plummeting. Mind you, their stocks have been like lowering, but ever since the Last of Us virus,
I basically think this is like the death knell for GameStop.
Which have you kind of been keeping an eye on what's been happening with?
Yeah, I've been. I mean, because I work there, once a week. I haven't had a shift in some time, but it's not like I didn't rely on it. It was just kind of extra money. But I had worked there for like almost 4 years. But yeah, so every time I see an article, I'll just read up on it. But I've been keeping it up.
What is your opinion? Because you work at. You said you do, or you used to.
Well, I do, but I basically haven't worked at one and actually had a shift in over a month because the one shift I was going to have, because it's slow season and I work there 1 day a week. So it's like there's people who need the hours more than I do because I have a full-time job. I just work there Sundays.
So what is your opinion on hearing that, GameStop came out and it said in a public statement that we have cleaning supplies and we're doing what we can. And this was early, like when they kept the doors open, we're cleaning everything down.
What I read, it was basically like GameStop's lack of the ability to be able to send cleaning supplies to any of their stores and telling them because they just didn't know what the hell to do. This is so unprecedented, and the state that GameStop as a company is in, it's like basically like looking death in the face.
Do you think that they should have closed down their doors, like kind of like how almost every other business has, or do you even think that because what they're doing now is that they're doing the whole curbside pickup thing, which now we're getting reports that GameStop may be closing up about 300 stores in the year 2020, along with we've been hearing reports of some employees have been pretty much when they do curbside pickup, when people would pick up their products, they would be wearing, they don't have gloves, so they would use GameStop bags as like makeshift gloves.
I didn't hear that, but I don't doubt it. That's fucking ridiculous.
Because I mean, just kind of like I catch up to speed. I don't know, at least of what you do or do not know, because me and Spectre talked about this on the last episode.
Hold up,
and pretty much like GameStop was saying all these things, but they stayed open. And then like they said that they said like from Sherman himself, they said that they were essential business, but it hasn't been stated what they would be or not. And when the police would come to shut them down,
well, they said that they were an essential business right away because they're basically trying to salvage the legitimacy of the company because again, they've been doing poorly way before this, and in addition to the fact that this keeps people from being able to come into the stores and pick up all this other stuff that they provide other than games, that because they've already been faltering to digital sales. This unprecedented thing basically also forces people to have to buy digitally out of it's not even like pure convenience. It's more just like almost a necessity because it's like where else are you going to go? Because even if you want a physical copy, you'd have to order it digitally now.
Mm-hmm.
So buying it digitally, I mean, it's like at what point is the convenience like not worth it anymore?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into that topic a bit later. But what is kind of like your opinion? Because a lot of the public opinion of what GameStop is doing during this virus is because the reason why they have shut their doors and have done these things that are happening now, like GameStop was just going to stay open and have only 10 people.
Yeah, they were telling people to like actively like tell law enforcement that they're not going to close. And then just give them a letter to call corporate. It's literally, I swear it was because they wanted to be able to stay open long enough for Animal Crossing money so that they had some sort of a cushion to try to be able to even like, stay alive throughout. But because they did that, like they basically they told Game Store employees to like basically just disregard law enforcement and have them just contact GameStop corporate.
Yeah, and we've heard that. We also,
but the thing is, as soon as they made the Animal Crossing money, they just folded back like it wasn't a big deal in the first place.
I'm aware. I know. And then like the reason why they closed their doors is that like there have been tons, and like this got out to not only like to IGN, GameSpot, and video game YouTubers like us. This got out to like mainstream, like Forbes did an article about this, about GameStop not shutting their doors through the Last of Us virus.
Right. I mean, they're essential because they enhance. I mean, and it's like because their whole reason was. By the way, Cody's here.
Oh.
Just so you know. Cody, say hi.
What's up?
Can you hear him?
Woo! Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah, I heard it. Yeah. Woo!
All right, cool. But anyway, what I was saying was they claim themselves to be essential because like what they provide enhances working from home. And it's like, I'm not going to entirely say that's bullshit because it isn't. Because like I mean, obviously as gamers, that's what like our bigger hobby is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like, yeah, but when you also in the same breath say that you don't have the funds or the ability to provide your workers with necessary sanitation supplies and they have to bring their own, it's like nobody there is making enough money where they want to buy and bring cleaning products to GameStop, but also don't want to lose their job.
Exactly.
It was just this. It was like a death cry. It was just like what the only thing that they could do to try to just postpone it as long as they could to get as much money as they could with releases before they basically like were forced to.
Yeah, and like we could do like an entire PlayStation conversation on just kind of like what GameStop has been doing during this time.
Yeah, but I don't really want to because it's not that interesting to me.
I get you, but like so just in before we move on, just because I haven't. This is we haven't talked about this. I want to hear what. So, what is your opinion of GameStop doing this? Like, are you with kind of the majority where they're like, "Man, screw GameStop. This is stupid. Why are you even doing this?" Or do you understand where they're coming from about what's going on, or whatever? Like, what is your opinion?
Probably. Like, I understand why they're doing it from
You there, buddy?
financially
There you
has
go.
been is. So it's like I said, it's like a desperate attempt to try to make sure that you could get something to be able to weather the storm of basically not being able to have any work coming through. None of your stuff is really getting sold and en masse because most people aren't that keen on going out to a GameStop to get something given the nature of the virus situation. So it's like any store. It's not, exclusive to them, but them especially since their whole thing was going against digital, which has been overtaking it. I personally like having a physical over a digital copy, and all the digital things that I do have are free. Like I didn't pay. Like it was either through PlayStation Plus or like a code or two that I would have acquired through my tenure at GameStop. And the only digital game that I've actually purchased was Final Fantasy VII, like the original, like on PS4, because I didn't want to go out and try buying a PS1 when I could just have it on there. But because of the whole social distancing mentality that's now pervasive, you are almost forced into a digital or physical through digital means. Like that's really all you have. I mean, not like there's no real place to go anymore to get a physical copy, which sucks. But it's them knowing that. It's like someone definitely like saw that coming as soon as this started, and they just had to do everything in their power to basically like, okay, we're essential. So they stayed open long enough to be able to get the huge income while it was still kind of new and not set in stone as far as what the rules are during a pandemic. Like they got all that money from their releases and then they just closed up, because they read a whole article as well about how they're trying to basically turn GameStops into like almost like a hangout place, and it's like not even like it's like a bar without the alcohol, like but with games, And they had these experimental stores in California where they were trying that, while this stuff was kind of starting to ramp up, but not like shelter in place stuff. And they basically those are the first stores that they actually closed down were the ones in California, which were these test stores. And I just found it like insanely ironic that because it was going to happen ultimately anyway, but given that they had to because California went on straight up like lockdown, so populous, and people just kept going everywhere.
All right, but just to loop it all back around to what we began with is that Sony says that because of the virus, even though profit may be hit, the delay of the PS5 is still happening. And the reason why is because that there are two factories in China that are returning to normal operation, but do continue to face component shortages. While facilities in Malaysia and the UK will remain shut until the middle of April because of the government requests. Sony can't dispatch employees over there because of it. So again, they are definitely planning on getting this out on holiday 2020. And that's why we're also hearing from GameStop CEO George Sherman that nothing has changed. And I think as I said, the reason why we kind of went on this rant about GameStop is because GameStop really needs these systems to launch in the holiday in order to even live through this year.
Yeah. Because and that's what I'm saying. It's like as a company, they're not strong enough financially to be able to weather months of no income. With the dwindling sales that they already had. I just pulled it out. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I had the laptop in one hand and my beer in my other hand. I went into the kitchen.
Had to go ahead and get himself a beer.
Yeah, I'm drinking the real beer here though, like a
Hey.
big boy. I got the Omegang Three Philosophers. Let's see, we got a quadruple and Belgian Creek ale with cherries, 9.7%.
Nice.
Had like a champagne top on it.
Nice. I don't really drink beer, but yeah. So I mean,
but for those who would listen who do, they'll know what I'm talking about.
there you go. But yeah, so it's just these systems are still being ready to launch at the end of this year. But let's move on. Next topic is that. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Is that Final Fantasy VII remake street date has been broken as Square Enix issues a release warning, and there has been a post from Square Enix themselves on March 27th. And it states, quote, as we prepare for the release of Final Fantasy VII Remake on April 10th, we wanted to keep you updated on how the proactive measures are being taken to prevent the spread of the Last of Us virus are likely to affect the distribution of retail landscape in Western regions at launch. As you'll be aware, many countries are limiting entry or closing their national, state, and borders to restricting the distribution and delivery of non-essential items. Understandably, these restrictions are being implemented so that essential items can reach their destination as fast as possible. This does not mean that boxed copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake will not be dispatched. It just means that we cannot control the date the game may arrive. In many countries and states, retail stores are closing to help with social distancing measures. If you place a pre-order with one of those retailers, we advise you to check their website for latest information about the status of pre-orders, as well as pickup and or delivery information. Please ensure your mailing address and contact details are up to date, as some retailers have begun contacting customers with delivery updates. Excuse me. Finally, we are currently making an arrangement to ensure that pre-orders from the Square Enix store reach you by April 10th. We are working hard to ensure as many of you as possible can play the game on April 10th and update with further information as we get more information. Thank you for continued support and, most importantly, stay safe. And then from Eurogamer, so that's the statement from Square Enix.
Right.
But the article that I'm talking about why Street Date may have been broken is from Eurogamer. Is that news comes as Square Enix faces another headache. Copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake have somehow already made their way to the hands of fans. A Redditor named NateLow22 posted pictures of the deluxe edition of the game while promising not to spoil the story. Brace yourself as a care through the plot of the game, though others may not be so considerate. And that's what he stated. And then in the Reddit post it says, as stated before, I would post what the inside of the deluxe edition looks like in person. Don't worry, I will not post any spoilers from the actual game. So yeah, apparently some people have already gotten their copies of the game. And it shows.
I guess if you know the right people, it'd probably be possible.
I don't know. Yeah, or maybe it was sent wrong. I don't know. But that's absolutely nuts. I don't know how he got it, but this is just another reason showing how this virus is affecting everything.
Yeah, they want it faster.
Yeah, I know. And just continuing on the Final Fantasy VII Remake topic into the next one. Final Fantasy VII Remake producer explains why it is episodic and not one big game. This article also comes from IGN, but also there is a massive blog post from the Square Enix blog talking about this. he has an interview releasing about how the upper floor has been added to the Shenmue building. Pretty much what it states is that, quote, in order to make the entire game as a single release work as a modern game, we wouldn't be able to go for the highest visual quality, and we'd also have to cut back on areas and scenes from the original. Essentially, to make a single release viable, the resulting game would have ended up being a digest of the original story, and we don't think fans would be pleased with that. So pretty much like a abridged version of it.
Oh yeah, no, and I get that because it's like you got to realize like what they're trying to make with today's technology. Like that big game back then, but like to have all the content and be looking the best and playing the best, like yeah, like there's memory limitations. I'd rather have something be cut down. It's just like Half-Life, you know.
So yeah, and then it continues. There were a lot of parts in between the sections of Midgard that were implied but never seen. That was something that we wanted to address in the remake to fill all those gaps, show how the different parts of the city are connected, and make it a continuous experience. Which is again, he pretty much the reason why is that it's going to be episodic is so
it's too big.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think of that? What do you think? Like now that we kind of know the reasoning,
I'm 100%. I'm 100% behind it. It's completely logically sound, and again, I would rather have a better version of a part of it released sooner than have to not only wait even longer for an entire game like that, but knowing that because of how big that is and how much content is going to be put into the game, that the graphical fidelity and maybe the mechanics might suffer. It's like we're ultimately you're going to get it sooner, and it's going to be the best that it could be, and then you have another one to look forward to. I don't even see why that's a bad thing. It's like, how many discs fucking was the original? Like 4?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 4 PS1 discs. You gotta that's a lot. Even you know what I mean? Even compared to like what one disc can hold today, to be able to get that, like he said, to make it look as good as possible and play as good as possible, and have all of that content that throughout the entirety of 4 discs. You know, I'd rather have it released episodically. I mean, I don't. That's the best reason he could have, because it's a real reason. Like you wanted the technological limitations, or not even limitations, but like what you'd have to change in exchange to put all of that onto one disc or in one game. It's just not worth it, because then you're going to end up getting a game that's going to be subpar, and then it's just going to be that subpar remake that came out. Like they want to do it right, so they're going to release it in smaller increments, and it's going to be a better product because it's quality over quantity. In this case, quantity being 1 would be the best because you want it all in one. But having it split up is not only going to be able to give you that great anticipation because the chunks that are coming out are going to be huge. Like it's going to be tens of hours worth of gameplay alone.
Yeah.
So honestly, you'd probably be able to play it and not even completely 100% everything by the time the next one will come out, because that's a lot that's on one disc. But they want to give you that experience perfectly every time. So they're not going to force all of the shit onto one disc when they know it's going to make the overall experience less, when they could just break it up and make them all amazing. And as in a business sense, you make more money that way too, because you're getting multiple releases instead of one big one. But the one big one wouldn't be good, so you're not going to coop anything on that. So they're going to release better, smaller. It's honestly flawless. Like anybody who argues against it either doesn't see why a business would want to stay afloat, or doesn't understand like how memory and computation works at a certain point. Like they'd have to sacrifice stuff for it.
One reason that I could maybe understand, I mean, I personally don't mind that it's episodic. I think that's great because they're giving us more content, as you have said before, Guru Plays. But one thing I would definitely have to say is that I know they announced Final Fantasy VII Remake back in 2013 with the announcement of the system. Even though that wasn't supposed to be the case, it was supposed to come out later, but whatever. But the PS5 is just around the corner. Wouldn't part of me is like, I'm glad that it's coming out. I'm glad it's coming to the PS4 because you said it was going to, but like because it's episodic, are you going to make PS4, PS5 versions in the next gen? Or are you going to make continue making them PS4 because the PS5 is backwards compatible? Like, it's a
I can
little
tell
bit
you which one
weird.
would be cheaper. If they don't have to make a new type of disc and they could just make them PS4 because they knowing it's backwards compatible, imagine how much money you would save.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
I'm sure that they'll ultimately come out with a PS5 remastered version or something,
yeah, and maybe that'll
but
be the case.
initially it wouldn't be necessary. So they could just have that, let everybody buy it, let that settle down, and then wait a bit and come out with a remastered or the PS5 version of it.
Hmm. Yeah, because like you're in a weird spot because when the PS5 comes out and the next episode or the next big chunk of Final Fantasy VII Remake hits, do you make two versions so you have people who haven't upgraded still can play it because you have it only on the PS4 and on the PS5, or do you only make it on the PS4 but it works on the PS5 and then you get a complete edition when all of it's out only on the PS5? Like it's in such a weird place, which I'm like,
No, I get you.
But yes, let's move on. Next topic is that Resident Evil 3 physical copies could be delayed in Europe. Again, this is very much because of the Last of Us virus. Capcom has put up a tweet on their official Twitter saying, "quote As we all know, as we all know, the Last of Us virus is having a widespread impact as respective governments in Europe have instituted various restrictions to prevent any additional spread. Although the global release date for Resident Evil 3 remains April 3rd, 2020, some European markets may experience delayed deliveries or availability of physical goods, including disc copies of the game. We are closely following official regulations to ensure that we are prioritizing the safety of our fans, employees, and partners. As such, we are in frequent communication with our local distribution and retail partners in each market to make copies available once local import conditions allow. Please check your local retailers for further updates regarding individual orders and availability of Resident Evil 3 physical copies and the collector's editions. We will do our best to help you keep you updated on major changes, and thank you for your patience. In the meanwhile, we hope that you and your loved ones stay safe. The Capcom Europe team. What do you think, Guru Blaze?
I mean, it's not something that isn't easily seen as being a good idea, really. I mean, ultimately, what it boils down to is no one's gonna actively try to trade their health if they don't have to, or the ability to make sure that a product gets to somebody else on time, because it gets down to a more survival thing. It's what's more important in this situation,
Mm-hmm. So yeah. So I mean, again, it makes sense. I get it. It sucks, but I get it. Let's move on to our next topic. Is that Control and Alan Wake developer Remedy signs publishing deal for two next-gen games set in the same franchise, which could mean Control 2 and maybe Alan
I'm
Wake
still gonna
2.
play the first Control, but
Oh, dude, like Control is great. Oh man, it's so good. So I have a statement from Remedy themselves. They put out this statement out here. Remedy Entertainment signs two multi-platform publishing deals. This is the quote from them. Quote, Remedy Entertainment, developer of multiple Game of the Year award winner Control, has signed publishing agreements with a major publisher for the company's next two unannounced video games. The agreements specify that the publisher will fully fund game development costs and that Remedy is entitled to a 50% share of the next revenue of the game's sales. Remedy also retains the ownership of the game's intellectual properties. First Project is a AAA multi-platform game already in pre-production and previously referred to as the unannounced third project. The second is a new, smaller scale project set in the same franchise. Both projects are being developed on Remedy's proprietary Northlight game engine and tools. More details regarding the partnership between Remedy and the publisher will be announced later in a press release. The partnership extends Remedy's strategy of creating and developing its own IPs into long-term franchises. Both games will be launched on the next generation console platforms and PC in the next few years. Remedy's financial outlook and guidance remain unchanged. The company estimates its revenue and operating profit to increase during 2020. Majority of the revenue and operating profit growth is expected to materialize during the second half of year period. And the article that I have is also from IGN. I wanted to see, because it says the publisher. I don't think they have stated who the publisher that they're going to be working with yet. It's just it's they get to develop it, but they're working with a publisher on it. But it hasn't been stated yet. Maybe we'll know information later, but I have not seen it. What do you think of this? Like, because I love Control. Control was such a good game, and hearing that Remedy is whoa, hold on,
Vitality's reads on point.
Get this out of here. Sorry about that. My computer always goes wonky somehow, some way.
It'll happen, man.
So, what do you think of this?
I think it's awesome. What they well, I mean, like, as far as them like wanting to continue to come out with content is great, and like I think that they're right to think that this is as bad of a time as this may be. This is going to be a huge explosion of people having nothing better to do than to just like pour into their creativity. And I think that this is almost going to be, in a weird way, kind of like a gaming renaissance, where it's going to be it's such an easy avenue to take when you have nothing else to do, because you can watch a movie or something like that. Mm-hmm. But when you take your active agency into it and you're just like, I want to do something, it's something that's always allowed you to do other things. And I think that people being secluded like this, it's like you're going to have nothing better to do than to be creative. I think that digital sales are no doubt going to go up. I think that the gaming industry is going to flourish as a result, mm-hmm. because people are just going to be pouring so much money into that entertainment. And it's going to give them more and more ability to come out with more and more creative things. And I think that it's, as far gaming alone and nothing else concerned, I think it's going to grow to a huge height, like that we've never seen before.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I'm again, as I said, I love Remedy. I think Remedy is such a great developer. Control was probably my first, I believe, Control was my first Remedy game that I really spent a lot of time with. Like, Quantum Break looked great. I very much was applauding that game, even though it didn't really sell well on Xbox as a exclusive.
And it doesn't have a very good review on IGN either.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like it like the concept that they wanted to do with Quantum Break, I will understand. Like, that is such a cool concept for Quantum Break, where it's a TV show plus it's a video game. But I don't think it looked like it was executed a bit wonky. It was like they tripped over themselves, and I would understand why. I like weird stuff like that. So, is it an amazing game? No, but like I did enjoy playing Quantum Break, the bits and pieces that I have. But Control, hands down, like it deserves Game of the Year from other publishers. Like that was my personal choice for Game of the Year. But last year for 2019, we gave it to Devil May Cry 5.
I thought it was, but Sekiro actually won.
Dude, like the thing is, like that's Sekiro won the Game Awards. Like Sekiro won the Game Awards. Like last year was such a odd year, and honestly I think it's a good thing. Wow. I think seeing that from the Game Awards it was Sekiro. Other publications and publishers have given it to other games like Control. We gave it to Devil May Cry 5, so on and so forth. Yesterday excuse me, last year was such a good year of just, you didn't have like these like high there wasn't a clear consensus where like this is Game of the Year. Like 2018, hands down God of War. like hands down. But 2018 though was like,
You know what? I would bring Cody into this real quick
okay,
because I'm to feel uninvolved, and we're gonna get what Cody's game of the year would have been in
okay,
2018.
a 2019, okay, sure.
Speaking to the mic.
I don't know. Well, I haven't really played a lot of new video games, but I've been getting into Gran Turismo a lot. That's the game I've been playing a lot lately.
Okay.
I don't know which game of the year, though. Probably played a little bit of Call of Duty. That's probably been like the newest game that I played.
Fair enough.
But I don't know. What do you
out
think
of which games that you saw, what looked the most interesting? Even
Although
if you haven't played it.
that Star Wars game looked pretty interesting.
Jedi Fallen Order?
Fallen Order?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, I have it,
Yeah.
dude. You got to play it.
You showed me that.
Yeah, no, dude, I'd destroy in that game, dude. I was a master of that combat system. It wasn't even a game no more.
What were the good titles of like 2019? Or like
Tell them what the good
months?
titles of
What were
2019
the
were,
good
Brent.
titles?
So we got Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, Devil May Cry 5. Let's see, like pretty much what was nominated at the Game Awards. I believe it was Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, Control, Death Stranding, The Outer Worlds.
Oh yeah.
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate was nominated, but it came out like right at the end of like it came out in 2018, but it came out in December, so it wasn't able to be part of that. And then I believe it was Resident Evil 2 that was nominated.
Oh.
Some other good games that were in other categories, or kind of that like I believe that deserve Game of the Year, kind of being a part of the Game of the Year talk. Borderlands 3 was amazing. Devil May Cry 5 was like the first game in 2018.
You know what? I played a little bit of that recently, and I haven't used them yet, but I unlocked the nunchuck bow staff, like tri-staff thing, and I'm so pumped to use that. I'm so pumped to finally have a bow staff is my favorite weapon in any game.
Yeah, man. Like, no, it's like Devil May Cry 5 is like the best action game to come out.
And honestly, dude, Neo 2 off record, dude, that's looking so good. I am so
Matrix game?
Neo 2? Yeah. No, it's NIOH.
Oh.
So like it was kind of like a Samurai Dark Souls made by Capcom. So
really?
kind of imagine the flashiness of a Capcom Devil May Cry game, but with Dark Souls mechanics.
Well, I believe it's it's Team Ninja.
Yeah, Team Ninja, who's also whatever. They're phenomenal. They make amazing combat systems too, like Ninja Gaiden and all that shit. Tenchu.
Is Ghost of Tsushima still on track, or is that like
I have it pre-ordered. I cannot wait for Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, like that's like
that and Cyberpunk. I mean, there's Last of Us 2. I have Ghost of Tsushima, Cyberpunk 2077, Last of Us 2, and Final Fantasy VII Remake pre-order. Those are my pre-orders. But like Cyberpunk and Ghost of Tsushima are like they have been my top tier. I cannot wait to play those games.
And that's a lot of the common consensus around this year. But again, there's a lot like Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah, I do want to play Doom Eternal as well, but I didn't pre-order it. But Doom was a fun game.
But yeah, let's go ahead and move into our main topic, our PlayStation conversation.
PlayStation.
So, Blaze.
Yeah.
So with the whole Last of Us virus that has happened, we've kind of already been talking about this throughout our news, and with everything that has been happening, we've kind of had to change our buying habits. We again, a lot of stores are closed. A lot of the places that we normally go, we were talking about GameStop. Best Buy is kind of doing the curbside pickup thing too, and the only stores that are kind of open are like the Targets and Walmarts and the marketplace stores of the world, because getting groceries and essential items. I actually haven't really been to a Target or Walmart.
I mean, I've been to Walmart. I mean, I stocked up a bit on just some basic stuff that I would get normally, and but it's crazy to walk through toilet paper aisles are empty, and there's no hand sanitizer they're out of isopropyl alcohol at Walgreens.
But like with like, and I have no idea if like their video game section is like open or not or whatever.
Well, I mean, I didn't check, but if the store is open, I see no reason as to why they,
Yeah, I
like
know.
you can
But
still buy it there. It's not like it would be any different if they were to not sell it. Like you're still there buying things. There's no difference in what you're getting.
mhm.
So I mean, I don't think. I mean, when I was there, it wasn't like closed down or anything. I mean, you could walk through it and buy stuff if you wanted to, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because places like Walmart, anybody that's another thing. Like going back to the video game idea of like how I think it's going to just boom is be like the physical copies that are available at those kinds of places are just going to surge. It's like if people are out and about and they just like have nothing. It's like, well, I'm going to go home and do nothing, so I'm going to buy this game. Why not? While I'm here,
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk about is the whole digital and physical distribution. It has now completely changed. Like, as you said before, Guru Blaze, you very much prefer physical. I myself prefer physical games also. Like, I love having the physical
I
disc.
just ultimately for me, in addition to like having that library aspect, like where you got them stacked up, like for me, it's more it can never be truly taken from me through
Exactly.
some form of digital error or whatever it may be. Because like
Exactly.
you can have and ultimately it also saves space on my hard drive because a digital game is always going to be larger than its physical counterpart because it needs to have all items associated with the game allocated into one digital space, whereas with a disc it only needs to install a certain portion and then it uses the disc to play the rest.
Yeah, no, I
You
completely
end up
agree.
over the long term you end up saving space, and again you have the aesthetic of it. And if there's some weird thing where you download a digital game and something goes wrong with it and you never have it again and you basically wasted money because there's nothing you can do. You can't just with a physical you can just reinstall it, and that's honestly the biggest draw for me.
And that's what I mean. I actually went ahead and pulled out these two. These two games have been delisted from the PlayStation Store. It's Transformers Devastation and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan. These were licensed games made by Platinum, but these are licensed games made by Platinum from Activision. Like Activision owns the rights, and they were the ones who published it. But these games, because the contracts of the license of Transformers and Ninja Turtles were expired, and they didn't renew it or whatever, these games you cannot buy digitally. These games are gone from the PlayStation Store. The only way you can have them is by these physical copies right here. And
That's it. It's like because when you purchase a game, like as far as the law is concerned, you own like an individual use license of that game. Like you can't replicate it or reproduce it and sell it, but you own a license for that game. But when it's digital, it's like it doesn't matter if you have that like with a physical copy. Like I said, yeah, you can reinstall it and you have it. You have all of that memory on a physical disc. Like you are in ownership of that. Whereas with digital games, I feel like you only kind of half own any one of them because it's all dependent upon whether or not you can be online or if you have it downloaded and something corrupts, you have to try to reinstall it, which means you require on. It's like there's a lot more like red tape and requirements and fine print with a digital game than I think there is with a physical.
And also, when it comes to digital games, you technically don't own them. If a company wants to go ahead and remove it from the store,
Yeah,
or
they literally can just discontinue the game, and then you just literally can't use it anymore.
exactly,
Right.
and we all kind of know like the history of the video games and the video game industry itself is honestly not that well kept. Honestly, the only places that have been able to kind of keep a history of past gen games, consoles, libraries are these like mom and pop, whether it's the like museums where it's just a dude who just collects games of everything and they just have everything, or your mom and pop local video game store that just has everything, PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, whatever.
Whatever they can get their hands on.
Exactly. And like you see, like there's a great I think there's a documentary that's out or been put out called, I believe, Not for Resale, and it's about these different mom pop shops and people in the video game industry who discuss, like, the Angry Video Game Nerd is there, Greg Miller from Kind of Funny is on it, and then they talk to the owners of these video game stores about how and other people who have been in the video game industry talking about how digital versus physical and all this kind of stuff. And I kind of wanted to discuss that because of how the Last of Us virus is affecting us. Like, okay, so for me, I love physical, and like for me, I want to be able to still go to a Best Buy or to a GameStop and do curbside pickup, or if I have to go to Target or whatever, still be able to buy the physical games of what's coming out. Like Resident Evil 3 is coming out very soon, and then we have Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us. Like, we don't even know how long this is going to take, so I still want to be able to get the physical copies, but like.
Well, yeah, like I have pre-ordered copies that I want to. Like I don't want a digital version of them. I plan on picking up the physical versions that I paid for.
Exactly, I agree, but
and it's just like that's another thing. It's like, I mean, it's not a huge amount, but it's just like all that. Like I want to be able to make sure I get those copies regardless of what happens with GameStop. It's like, you know.
I agree. No, I completely agree. Mind you, I like if I don't get, this is honestly could be GameStop's last year. We've already kind of discussed it earlier in the episode, but like,
oh, yeah. I just want to get what I got from them now, and then they can do whatever they need to do.
What do you think happened to all their inventory then?
Yeah. Did you hear them?
Yeah, about their inventory. I mean, I don't know. I think what would happen.
Well, stop, man.
I feel like maybe they would kind of. They wouldn't die immediately. I think it would ultimately come down to them selling their inventory just to, you know, keep things like afloat.
Exactly.
And then they would maybe everything would be like maybe either marked down or at the very least, like, you know, they would just keep selling until they literally couldn't function as a company.
No, I get you. Now here's the thing with
pre-owned would go down.
Yeah, but here's the thing with like digital though. Like, there's pros and cons to both physical and digital. If you go physical, you own it and it is yours. If they delist it from the digital store, whether it's the PlayStation Store or
right, you
whatever,
still own the physical copy of that game.
Exactly. But I will not lie. Like, for instance, I own a physical copy of Destiny 2 because
you know what? I honestly just thought about it, and I didn't consider all my Steam games, which they're almost all digital. So I suppose when it comes to PC, digital it will always be king. Because buying physical copies for my PC, I don't want to do that.
PC, you have more memories.
Well, that agreed, but you know, it's like I'll buy a physical copy for a console because they're part and parcel. But PC, it's like, well, it doesn't matter because I can get anything I want, pretty much.
But I think it's also like our perspective. Like this is what I mean is like going with PC is that we've now been trained. You know, when Steam first came out, like people you could buy physical games still for PC, but it took a few years for Steam to just go, no, you buy digitally, and now you rarely ever see any PC like physical games at a Best Buy or GameStop or Target or whatever. We are
like,
now
they're still around, but it's like, why would you do that?
Exactly. We are
like
not.
PC is different. It's not just a console. It's a lot more than that.
Well, yeah, and I get that, but we have been indoctrinated to be like digital games. Regardless, even on consoles, some of the most the most popular game, Fortnite, is a digital only game. There is no physical version of it outside of what was released years ago when it first was made. But it was Fortnite
It's also free. So that's the thing. And you find way more, dude, there's so much more free games available on PC through Steam. Like, there's mountains of free games. Some of them are good, some of them are not, but they're free.
The other thing that I would have to say is, like, regardless on consoles, like, it's honestly, when it comes to physical versus digital, it's almost like a 60-40, almost 70-30 cut between, like, digital is like 70-60 and physical is 40-30, because the thing is with digital, as I was saying, I have Destiny 2 because I got it from PlayStation Plus. I have that downloaded to my system. I don't remember the last time I put in the physical disc of Destiny 2. I just go, all right, I'm going to play a bit of Destiny because, well, I just want to just play a game, but I don't want to work my brain, so I play Destiny. And it's so much easier to just turn on my system, grab my controller, and then boot it up. It's
right.
just
Well, I mean, yeah. But you also got to realize that a lot of the demographic that is making or facilitating making through their parents these digital purchases are kids who aren't even old enough to drive out and buy their own physical copy of a game. So there's a huge margin of younger kids that don't have the means to go out and buy a physical copy, even if they considered it in the first place, and they would just purchase it digitally from their home and then just get their parents' credit card or whatever it is.
I mean,
and a good portion of people playing a lot of games.
Of course, and I can understand that. It's for parents is easier to just do digital. It's a convenience.
They don't want to drive their kids out if they don't have to. You know that too. It's whatever ultimately ends up in them just staying at home and purchasing it that way.
But I also don't. But I don't think it's just to kids though. It's honestly we are in a day and an age where convenience is king. I would rather spend more money on having something convenient than having something that's maybe a better quality or maybe there's more of it. I'd rather pay for convenience rather than whatever. We would rather pay, that's why subscription.
It basically is whatever I don't have to do, I'll pay you for.
Exactly. Why should I go ahead? I could go out and buy a bunch of movies, a bunch of $5 movies, but why would I do that when I can just spend $10 a month? Those same stack of movies that I would have bought, I can just have them on Netflix or Hulu or Crunchyroll or Funimation or whatever. Disney Plus.
Sometimes it's fun to go out and search, though.
Oh yeah, I mean you can find interesting stuff, no doubt, in the movie bin. But it's just there's probably some people who don't even have a device you can play a DVD on.
And some people don't. I mean, again, I know one of my pretty much one of my close best friends, he buys digital. He buys mostly digital now, not physical, because to him, he wants to slim everything down. He doesn't want to have a massive garish library. He just wants to be able to have everything slimmed down and have it convenient where he plays just as much video games as I do, but he would rather go ahead and buy them digitally. So that way, when he wants to go ahead and play...
Oh, I'm not going to argue that it isn't more convenient, because it definitely is. I just honestly... I like the idea that once I purchase it, because I have a physical copy, again, it is a permanent thing that I can have, and I will be able to play it so long as my system is functioning.
And I agree.
Too is the antique market. So you think about it in 50 years, what's a physical copy going to cost? Get a lot of other.
You don't even have to look 50 years from now. You can just look now and see what people pay for old cartridge games and the physical copies of old games, because especially then, that's the only way to play it in some cases. If you can't find an emulator or some way to play it on your computer, then you have to have the not only the physical copy, cartridge, whatever form it may have taken in the early days of games, you also need to have the system on which it is played.
Exactly.
And so you have to, that adds, there's always a two-part thing. Then you have to have controllers. You have to have the right connectors for it. And then it's all of those things go into being able to have that experience. So people, it's the reverse now, where it's with digital, you have the ability to instantly access it, but basically at the risk of potentially, though unlikely it may be, losing it forever and never really getting reimbursed or being, and it's with a physical copy, as there is with the old cartridge stuff, that you need all of those special implements to play. A new physical copy is still, I could sell this to someone. I could, this is that game. The entirety is right here, and you don't need the internet to purchase it or update it. You can play it as is. And that's always been the thing for me. It's that's what I prefer that, because Digital is just too nebulous for me to trust.
You'd be surprised. Like one day I was just looking at the price of like I have an original Xbox and I used to buy like the platinum hits when they were on sale and stuff. And some of them now are worth more than what I paid.
Right, exactly.
Like, and that's
like a copy of Fire Emblem Path to Radiance on GameCube, like new, is like $400. Yeah, because it's just that rare.
Mm-hmm.
Or Beautiful Joe is up there, and like it's crazy. But that's it. That's it. It's like, dude, like what if right now, like this is what is going to basically put physical copies into a collector's market, because there'll be a period of not being able to get them. And then eventually they'll like grow in value, because it's like, this is a way to play the game right now here without anything, no strings attached. As long as I got the system and a power supply, I'm good to go.
So I honestly think that I don't think physical games will ever go away completely.
I don't either. I think because there's always because that's production too. That's a market of like the creation of the discs and the boxes and the printing for the paper and like, the people putting them together. Like those are all different occupations that are also being affected when it comes to the creation of those. So like one would think that, it would only benefit to have all of that extra work so people could work those jobs and increase the whole value of the economy.
But that's also money being spent and everything. This is what this is the thing that I'm like. Video games. When it comes to video games is the only media that really is still like, or when it comes to its fan base or whoever, still very much holds to physical games. When it comes to movies, yes, you can go ahead and go to Target, Best Buy, whatever, and buy physical movies. I still do. I'm a collector, so I buy the steelbooks that Best Buy has. But what they do is they say, hey, this movie comes out physically at the end of the month, but you can buy it 2 weeks before digitally, so you can get the movie sooner. And if you don't care about that, like when it comes to movies, when it comes to especially music, like the days of the CDs are like dead. Even for me, like I don't buy CDs really. I'll only buy a CD to a band that I really, really love, because I want to support that band. That is the only reason. Because what I'll do is I'll take the disc, throw it into my computer, rip it, throw it on my phone, and then be done. Like I will never touch that CD ever again. Because that's kind of where we're at. Everything is digital now. It's again more convenient. It's easier for me.
It's weird too for me, because when it comes to movies, I'm all digital. Like I own like a decent good chunk from my youth of physical copies of some anime series and some movies. But I have a vast collection of digital movies. And for me, I would much rather have a movie digital, because for me, like a movie, I love movies and I like cinema, but it's like, as opposed to a game, it's like it goes back to the whole idea of like agency and control over it. So it's like if I get a movie, I watch a scripted experience, which I still enjoy, but I want that to be more convenient, because that would like the amount of movies that I would want to have like would take up so much physical space and just not be worth going out and getting. Whereas with games, I want the physical copy of the game, because not only is it far more expensive individually as a purchase, but I have much more of an investment of I want to put a lot of time into this, because this isn't a movie, it's a game. Like I am able to go in here and do all of these things, whereas with a movie, it's a static experience. Not that that's bad, but that's what it is. You have no agency in it, and then there's the hybrids, like the thing Black Mirror did or whatever, which I never tried, but that's fine. But all I'm saying is, like, when it comes to the game, I want to be able to always be able to play through that game. Whereas with a movie, it's like I can watch this movie, and if I were somehow to lose it, it's like, well, yeah, it's a movie. I didn't, I spent however much a month, and it wasn't really that much of a loss. But with a game, it's like I spent like $60-ish on this, and like wanted to have this, and always, when you when I keep my old 360 games that still work, because I want to play them sometimes. Well, it's just that's the beauty of physical. As like perfect example. I mean, granted, the Xbox Live still works on 360, and you can purchase stuff on it, but it's like all the physical games that like may not be on the online, store to purchase anymore. You would have those to play, and they would work perfectly fine. And it's just like all you got to do is look at the last, or 2 years ago, or however long it was, however many generations of console you want to go back to see like the value of having a physical copy, even in the midst of a digital age.
Yeah, no, I again, look, for me, I am all physical. I've even bought physical games for PlayStation Plus games that I have digitally, only because that I want to physically own it. I know that sounds stupid because I'm like, I got it for free. But like again, as I said, I'm a collector, so I want to have the collection for it, and that's very much a me thing. But like, I understand the whole sense of owning a physical game, but what I can see in the next maybe even 5, maybe within the next generation, within the PS5 Series X generation, what could happen is that the sense of physical games will go the way of retro, like vinyls. Vinyls have come back. People buy vinyls, but they don't really use them. They get the digital code, so they have it. But the vinyls themselves.
Oh, I use my vinyls when I buy them. Trust me. But I guarantee, but there are definitely a huge amount of people who do.
But that's what I mean. Is like when it comes to vinyls,
then it becomes more for the aesthetic than the practicality.
But that's because technology developed the speed and the space to store all that too.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not so much the it's like not only
there's not a risk,
right, and not only is the medium faster to operate from the user's side when you do things digitally with music and movies, but if you can, it's the volume. It's the ability to have so much on one thing where you can just search by name and find it, or like and you can't do that. Like with physical medium, you have to physically store it, physically organize it if you choose. But when it comes to digital, it basically gives all these tools that basically will instantly do that for you.
What is the PS5's capacity? Did they release that yet?
What was it again?
They're using a solid state drive. I believe what they said it's going to be 825 gigs SSD. And I believe they did say that you can they're going to be putting a 1 terabyte of normal hard drive space, or you can add through you can pretty much add another hard drive to it. But I know for a fact it's 825 gigs SSD, which is solid state drive. And then I believe either they're going to be adding another gig of hard drive space, or you can get another one, but I believe that's to add more to the solid state drive. All I know is that it's 825 gigs solid state drive. That's what I do know.
So it's like a terabyte.
Almost a terabyte, yeah. That the odd thing about it is that it says it's 825. That's what PlayStation has stated. What I want to think, or I want to believe, is that's the actual amount of free space that the system uses. Unlike where, like, if you get a 1 terabyte PS4 Pro, it's actually not technically 1 terabyte. It's like 900.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like, I honestly see the way, like, the only way you can get physical is through collector's editions, deluxe editions, stuff like that. Or, like, they'll make it a little bit more expensive in order for you to get physical. Like, I honestly can see...
And that's bullshit.
But we're seeing how digital game... I get it. I agree. I want to be able to buy physical games, but, like... If you go to, like, if you, like, for me, I go to Best Buy to buy most of my movies, and when I go there, their movie section is absolutely small. It's very, very small. It's just pretty much what's the new releases, and that's it. Maybe some other backlog, but it's barely anything.
Yeah, that's probably because the companies that print them only print them for a certain amount of time.
Oh yeah, and that's how it always is. Like, there's always going to be X amount of printings or how many times they're going to do it. But again, like, as you even said so before, Guru Blaze, like, you buy all your movies digitally. You buy them all digitally, and but that's more convenient for you. For me, I'm a collector, so I buy like the steelbooks and movies that I enjoy. But I will even admit, in those movies, there's a digital code. I put the digital code into the app that uses it, Movies Anywhere, whatever. I never touch the disc, never use it. I watch it through the Movies Anywhere app or Vudu or whatever. And that's it. That's how I watch my movies. So again, it's always about convenience, and in the gaming space.
I think for me the value of it is like when you say, okay, so like with a movie,
Yeah, you only pay like $10.
I can we can both watch a movie and we may see it differently, but we're almost like relatively we're going to have the same experience because it's been created. It's a static piece of entertainment.
Yeah.
But I see more of a value in having a game, especially physically, because that more guarantees its longevity and the fact that I'll be able to use it. Is because I could play a game and have an experience, and I could give that game to somebody else, and they can have a completely different experience in that game. Right, and you can also replay it, and then it could be different. Whereas with a movie, it's like a movie can always be good, and you'll enjoy it every time you watch it, but it's always the same movie. A game is dynamic. It's a dynamic entertainment, and that's why I think that having it in a more permanent or guaranteed to be permanent form is more valuable.
I'm sorry. I thought I heard one of you talk. Another thing with digital games also is for families. One of the things that we've been seeing from PlayStation and Xbox is that when you get a digital game, you can game share it with everyone on the console. You can pretty much share that entire game to everything, and like for instance, like if we have two PS4s, I want to play a game, and then you want to play a different game, but both of us, all the games that we want to play are digitally. We can all play different stuff at the same time, or you can go ahead and game share through family. So like you only have to buy, you only buy like Call of Duty once. You buy it once, and like the primary account on the consoles are there, and then you can game share it to the other accounts. Like again, that's another reason why people like digital. Again, it's always coming back to, and I'm playing devil's advocate. Look, I'm very, very much all about physical, sense of ownership, sense of it's sense of ownership. It's sense that it's mine. You can sell it.
That this is the game right here.
It's secure. It's never gone away.
Right. As long as I maintain my ability to play it, I will always be able to play this game.
Exactly. But it's honestly, it's coming to convenience. And with the Last of Us virus, do you honestly think that people are just going to be like, screw it, Resident Evil comes out this week and I still have to stay inside, screw it, I'm going to buy it digitally. I'm going to cancel I'm going to go ahead, and when stores open, I'm going to cancel my pre-order from blank.
But I also think there's going to be a great deal of people that are going to be like, screw it, in the opposite direction. Like, I'm going to go out and do what I want to do, and I'm going to go get this game physically because I want to be out and do it.
Do you think retailers will start even delivering things, or consider that as an option?
I mean, most of them basically have. Like, they're all they're all like takeout and drive through, and
so like if those retailers already have the pre-order, like then in a way it almost should be on them to fulfill that if they still decide to continue their operations.
It is on them.
If they collected money from you up front, I mean, they should at least do their best. I know it's in certain times and crazy things like that. But, if they collected money from you already, if they're already doing online deliveries and stuff like that, I mean, they should maybe consider that as an option. That'd be good too then for the businesses that still want to create like physical copies of games,
No, I agree. And it depends on the company and how they utilize it and how they go through. Like, people have pre-ordered it, but you pre-ordered it in store. It's using a different system than what the online store is doing, because when you order online, you're pretty much buying from the product from a warehouse somewhere, and then it gets shipped to your house.
People have to work that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know, and that's up to the companies. That's not up to us. Again, I don't know, but yeah. because I know you're in on this. What do you like? Are both of you all about physical?
I would prefer physical, but I do think though that from this situation that digital sales will probably skyrocket if they haven't already been.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd rather personally have a physical copy of a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, just because then I don't know. Like I've had periods of time if I forget a username or password or changing data between systems or something. Digital, you can lose digital things quickly, and sometimes you get burned when you lose something you purchased digitally. So I'd rather just have the go copy. That way I know I always have it, and it's kind of there. And who knows? Like I said, or even just like we were talking about earlier, like collector's market, that could happen too, where it only then appreciates in value if I have it in a physical copy too. But
yeah,
but that I don't know. Like if the systems though create more memory and they're able to make it quicker and they're able to guarantee downloadable copies of games, I think it's probably gonna.
But that's the thing. It's
they're
like
probably working towards that. So
right, but given the way that the internet and the way that programming works, it's like there's always going to be a way to circumvent it, and you can always it may be a very low risk, but there's always a potential that you could suffer with a physical copy, unless it's stolen from you. Then you'll always have it.
I get you. I just think we may be coming to a point where, because of this, like things are definitely going to change because of what's happening in the world today because of this Last of Us virus. It's things will change, and when it comes to video gaming, I don't know, and maybe this has sped up the buying of digital as permanently. I'm not just saying because people will buy digitally because I just want it, it's convenient, I can't leave my house, whatever. No, this might just be like, this is far more convenient than me going to a store to buy it. Why? Because some people don't even know you could do that. So there's this is changing a lot of things. Just final thoughts is as I said, for me, I think when it comes to whether you buy digitally or physically, even in these crazy times, if you can go ahead and say F it or F it either way, and we've discussed that, it's really all about perspective. It is very much more convenient to buy digital because it's just you load up your system, it's there.
It's less that you physically have to do something in order to obtain it.
Yep, and as we said,
that's all it comes down to.
Exactly. We now live in an age where convenience is king. That's what matters the most to us, and that's why buying digital is becoming more of a thing. But with physical, and I think this is more for people like us who grew up in an age where physical, the only way you could have a thing, get a thing, is physical. Again, I'm a collector, so I want them physically because I want to have the library for when I get old and I have the backlog and everything.
You can show someone an old game or a game in a case with cover art.
Exactly.
Or you can show them the same picture of it on your digital interface if you have it digitally that everybody else who ever bought it digitally has. Mm-hmm. It's not the same thing.
Yep, and as I said, I'm a steelbook hoarder. I love steelbooks. So I've even bought steelbooks from overseas, from the UK and other places because I want the steelbooks over the normal cases, and I still have the normal cases. But the steelbooks are part of my collection. Again, I definitely prefer physical because I grew up in an age where physical was the thing. It's a collector thing. It's and it's also the sense of ownership. It is mine. As I stated before, with Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan, and Transformers Devastation, those games are gone. You cannot buy them. So but I own them. I have the physical versions, and I can still play them to this day. Other games, if you didn't buy them...
And that alone is also something that would immediately drive up the value of any given piece of media because it's unavailable through any other channel.
Exactly. And that's why you have collector's items and stuff like that. But I do understand digital. Any final thoughts from you guys?
Well, in addition to what I've already said, basically...
Well, just to wrap it all up.
I think that basically, when it comes to physical versus digital, at least in a time like now, digital is going to obviously supersede it out of necessity.
Exactly.
just like everything else being ordered online, because that's a digital transaction. It shows up to your house physically, but it's a digital transaction, so it's really the same thing.
But
And
collector's market for
right, but the thing is, like, I think that it's an innate human thing that, like, the whole idea of being collecting something rare will never go away. In addition to the fact of the production side of physical media being created, like physically, is a lot of work that would be gone. So I think that will also continue. And again, like these things going forward, when you have like a physical copy of something, when you have something you can hold in your hand, it's the same reason like when you take a Polaroid picture and it prints out and you got to wait 10 minutes for it to develop. Like having a picture in your hand or a game in your hand is an experience that, as long as there are people who are alive who remember it, it will never die. And if they pass that on, it will also never die. I think that physical media will always be created. Digital is going to supersede it in convenience and purchasing power and the amount of money that it makes.
Yep.
But enough people are always going to want a physical copy of something. Like, it's the same reason a person would want a physical book over a Kindle file.
Yeah.
You know, like they want that book on their shelf. They want to be able, you know, the visceral experience of being able to play it at any time. Like, I would never be able to play any. I mean, I don't want to try to download a emulator for my GameCube. I have a GameCube and I kept it so that I could keep playing it, and all my games still work because I took care of them. And as long as you like keep the medium in a good condition and your console functions, you'll always be guaranteed the ability to experience that again. But with digital, you never truly have a guarantee. What if, I mean, your hard drive gets corrupted, or, you know, something happens with the game where it becomes abandonware and you can't play it even though you bought it because the company gives up on it. Right. And it's like that, I think, will always promote physical copies of media being made.
Yeah, and like again, that's probably where it's going to happen. Is that there will always be physical copies. You can go and still buy physical CDs. You can still buy physical books. You can still buy physical movies. But but it's now smaller than what it used to be, and that's probably where games in the next maybe 5 to 10 years, maybe more, who knows? But that's kind of where it's going. But yeah, so guys, please let us know what you guys think. Are you guys still buying physical games even in this crazy time where we're all locked inside the house, or are you kind of getting digital games now because you're locked inside a house? But guys, thank you so much for watching. Please let us know what you guys think, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, that was pretty good, wasn't it, Guru Blaze? It's been a while. This was good.
I think a solid conversation was had and points that needed to be brought up were addressed.
There we go. So guys, please, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/brotherhoodofgeeks. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We always appreciate that. And if you haven't already, press the bell icon. That way, whenever we put up a video, you know we put up a video. You can also follow us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/thebrotherhoodofgeeks. You can also follow us on Twitter at Dualshock'dBOG. That's the name of our PlayStation podcast, Dualshock'd. BOG. And they can also follow us on Twitch when we stream there at twitch.tv/brotherhoodofgeeks. Woo, man. Got some good points in. It's been a while, Guru Blades. It's always a pleasure. Man, I look forward to doing more of this. We're probably going to be doing this kind of online talking for a while, so. But yeah, man.
Again, convenience.
I know, right? And by the way, look at that logo over there. Look at that Guru Blaze logo over here. That looks great. That looks great. I have to say that. Just bam.
Well, I'm glad you like it. It took me like, I don't know, half hour.
He's being modest. He is definitely being modest. So great. Well, anything else, Guru Blaze?
I think that's it for me. I think I spoke my piece on it, but it's like I think we all have a sense of where things are going as far as entertainment. And this is basically almost like this, what's the word? It would be like, it's like what's shifting like more people to digital as a necessity than a convenience.
Yeah. Yep.
Now catching up with it too.
Right. And it's like we're at a point where we can do it all.
Yeah.
which just makes you think, like, how the hell are we even supposed to run society anymore?
I get you.
You could run it digitally.
Yeah, man. How about from you, Cody? Since you just came in and joined us, I guess. Anything else from you, man?
Cody?
I don't know. I think we hit all the main points in the head there.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you were able to just go ahead and join us for this appearance. No, I have no idea if you'll be back again, but it's definitely fun talking to both of you. I know I brought in Guru Blaze because Guru Blaze is always here, but yeah, this is good. We'll be, I guess, dealing with this as it goes by, and hopefully soon we'll be able to hang out in the real world. And
yeah, you know what? The way I look at it is, as long as I can play games and complain, I don't really got much to complain about.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm Brett J. Rasmussen.
I'm Guru Blaze.
And as always, live to play, play together. We'll see you guys next time.